10.3 Monitor Communications. Monitor communications is the process of ensuring the information needs of the project and its stakeholders are met. The key benefit of this process is the optimal information flow is defined in the Communication Management Plan and the Stakeholder Engagement Plan. This process is performed throughout the project. That's from PMBOK Guide page 388. Project communications is designed to ensure that the right people get the right information at the right time. But underlying this is the important purpose of winning buy-in and maintaining support for the project from the stakeholders. As we covered in the previous lesson, all reasonable care needs to be taken to ensure that there are no dirty pipes in the system, i.e. the messages that are received are the same as those that are transmitted. Lack of experience can cause miscommunication, but miscommunication could also be caused by mischief. I was working as a consultant, not a project manager this time, to a large organisation that was developing a new financial services company. The software had been developed in-house and that project was coming to an end. On Monday, the organisation announced they would be open for business from Wednesday. I asked to see the user acceptance plan and the results of the final tests. They told me they hadn't been finalised yet and they hadn't actually done the testing yet. I was dumbfounded. I told them that they couldn't go live with an untested system. They said everything has been tested in modules to save time and that it worked perfectly. The final test would be performed on Tuesday, but it was just a formality, they said. I was in shock by this stage. Then I said they must postpone the opening, but they said that reputations of the senior managers hinged on opening on Wednesday. We had another meeting on Tuesday night. The full test had failed. Surprise, surprise. I said the CEO would have no choice now. As soon as he hears that the test failed, he would have to postpone. But the manager said, we can't tell the CEO that. And the manager spent around 30 minutes drafting a cleverly worded report that made it sound like the system test had been a success, but with minor problems that could be overcome by workarounds. So the CEO announced to the public that the system was open for business. The managers employed teams of people to work day and night, typing receipts, fixing errors in the database and so on. The electronic communications with the banks weren't working either, and so they had a team of couriers on motorcycles transporting printed reports. Obviously, I could not continue working with the company as this was clearly in breach of the Code of Ethics of PMI and of course of my conscience. Project communications is designed to ensure that the right people get the right information at the right time, but it must be the right information. Monitor communications determines if the planned communications artifacts and activities have had the desired effect of increasing or maintaining stakeholder support for the project deliverables and expected outcomes. The impact and consequences of project communications should be carefully evaluated and monitored to ensure that the right message with the right content, the same meaning for both the sender and the receiver, is delivered to the right audience, through the right channel and at the right time. Right? Monitor communications may require a variety of methods such as customer satisfaction surveys, collecting lessons learned, observations of the team, reviewing data from the issue log, or evaluating changes in the customer engagement assessment matrix. Surveys are required for larger organisations but would be inappropriate for a small company where you could simply have a meeting. And if you find that the communication strategy does not have the desired effect, then you should consider going through the planned communications management and/or managed communications process again to fine-tune them. Serious issues or failures of key performance indicators identifying new significant risks or conflicts may trigger an immediate revision of the entire plan. Monitor communications inputs. Number 1, the project management plan. The project management plan components that we are interested for this process would include resource management plan because that's used to understand the actual project organisation and any changes through understanding of roles and responsibilities and the project organisational charts. The communication management plan because it contains the current plan for collecting, creating and distributing information in a timely manner. It identifies the team members, stakeholders and the work involved in the communication process. The stakeholder engagement plan because it identifies the communication strategies that are planned to engage stakeholders. Input number 2, project documents. The project documents that can be considered as inputs for this process would include the issue log, because it provides the project's history, a record of stakeholder engagement issues and how they were resolved. The lessons learned register. As I keep on saying, the lessons learned in the earlier part of the project can be applied to the later phases of the project to improve the communications effectiveness. Project communications provides information about communications that have already been distributed. Input number 3, work performance data. Work performance data refers to the types and quantities of communications that have actually been distributed. Input number 4, enterprise environmental factors would include organisational culture, political climate and governance framework. These are the big ones that they're often used as inputs. Established communication channels, tools and systems, global, regional or local trends, practices and habits, and geographical distribution of facilities and resources. Input number 5, organisational process assets, would include corporate policies and procedures for social media, ethics and security, organisational communication requirements, standardised guidelines for development, exchange, storage and retrieval of information, historical information and lessons learned repository from previous projects, and stakeholder and communications data and information from previous projects. Monitor communications tools and techniques. Tools and techniques number 1, can you guess what this one is? You're right, expert judgment. Expertise should be considered from individuals or groups with specialised knowledge or training in the following topics: communications with the public, the community and the media, and in an international environment between virtual groups, and communications and project management systems. And if your project is for a government department or agency, you may need expertise in public service legislation and tabling to Parliament or similar, depending upon the country involved. The latter is particularly important if something goes seriously wrong. Tools and techniques number 2, project management information system. This will provide a set of standard tools for the project manager to capture, store and distribute information to internal and external stakeholders with the information they need according to the communications plan. The information contained in the system is monitored to assess its validity and effectiveness. Tools and techniques number 3, data representation. Techniques that can be used include the stakeholder engagement assessment matrix, which can provide information about the effectiveness of communication activities. I covered this in an earlier lesson, but it's worth repeating. The stakeholder engagement assessment matrix, shown in figure 13.6, displays gaps between current and desired engagement levels of individual stakeholders. It could be further analysed in this process to identify additional communication requirements beyond the regular reports, as a method to close any engagement level gaps. In the diagram, C equals the stakeholder's current level of engagement and D is the desired level of engagement. Unaware is the lowest level and leading is the highest, and generally we're trying to move stakeholders to the higher levels of engagement, which in this diagram means moving them from left to right. Stakeholder 1, their current level is unaware and we desire to get them to level supportive, and stakeholder 3 is already at the desired level. Tools and techniques number 4, interpersonal and team skills. Interpersonal and team skills that can be used for this process include observation and conversation. Not all meetings have to be formal. Just walk around the team now and then, have a chat, find out how things are going, and you'll soon pick up on team issues. Quite often when someone has an issue, they just need to be heard to get it off their chest. A few supportive words can make quite a difference to someone. Discussion and dialogue with the project team helps determine the most appropriate way to update and communicate project performance and to respond to requests from stakeholders for information. Observation and conversation enables the project manager to identify issues within the team, conflicts between people, or individual performance issues. Tools and techniques number 5, meetings. Face-to-face or virtual meetings are used for decision making, responding to stakeholder requests and having discussions with suppliers, vendors and other project stakeholders. Project communications outputs. Output number 1 is work performance information. This would include information on how project communications is performing by comparing the communications that were implemented compared with those that were planned. It's like comparing actuals to baseline. It also considers feedback on the communications, such as results from surveys or communication effectiveness. Do you remember the difference between questionnaires and surveys? Questionnaires are a series of questions, and so they provide the raw data. Surveys pick up the raw data to create information. Output number 2, change requests. The monitor communications process often results in the need for adjustment, action and intervention on communications activities defined in a communication management plan. Change requests are processed through the Perform integrated change control process. These change requests may result in revision of stakeholder communication requirements, including stakeholders' information, distribution, content or format, and distribution methods, and new procedures to eliminate bottlenecks. Output number 3, project management plan updates. Any change to the project management plan goes through the organization's change control process via a change request. Components that may require change requests for the project management plan include communications management plan. It's updated with new information to make communication more effective. The stakeholder engagement plan. It's updated to reflect the actual situation of stakeholders, their communication needs and the importance of those needs. Output number 4, project document updates. This would include the issue log for the new issues, lessons learned register updated with causes of issues, reasons behind the corrective actions chosen and other communication lessons learned as appropriate, and the stakeholder register. The stakeholder register may be updated with revised stakeholder communication requirements. That brings us to the end of monitor communications and also to the end of the project communications module. The next module is 11, Project Risk Management. Please read the corresponding chapter in a PMBOK guide before watching the video.